welcome to another episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live, yes, all the way live from Black Pearl Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. Ooh, I sure did pick a hell of a week to come back, huh? Man, what is going on in our country? What's happening? 1 minute I'm on like this super duper high because Georgia, oh, Georgia, they did they dang thing. They did that. They flipped the whole dang state blue. In 2 years, you know Miss Stacey Abrams is going to be the governor. And then the very next day, a bunch of mad, I'm trying not to curse, y'all, because I know children's be watching the show. A bunch of upset, non-civic class taken, believing all the nonsense with no evidence people decided that they needed to storm the Capitol building, tear up furniture, mess up monuments, and put at risk our Congress. Now look, all those individuals acted on their own. That's what Republicans always tell you, individual liberties, individual responsibility. Okay, I'm going with that for a little bit, but check this out. 45, he stoked the fires just hours before they committed all those crimes, all that sedition, all that treason. He stoked the fires. But this has been going on for a long time, y'all. This has been happening for a long time. As soon as he came down on that god-awful, gaudy gold escalator, even before then, when he was questioning where President Barack Obama was born, he's been doing all of this, firing people up and stoking up their fears. And then you have all of these Republicans that are co-signing the BS. Particularly Indiana Republican elected officials. Senator Braun with your punk behind. Representative Banks with your punk behind. Representative Jackie Walorski, which I don't even know why you even in this, sis. Why you get yourself caught up like that? But these people have betrayed our trust. Their credibility is in the tank. And I'm sorry, Governor Holcomb, you ain't much better. All the Republicans in the House and Senate, in Indiana State House and Senate, y'all ain't no better. Because y'all haven't said anything about there was no evidence of voter fraud. Whether you came out and said that you were going to sign the petition or you were going to stand with the sedition, or you stayed silent, you were all complicit in the damage that was done yesterday. And that damage just wasn't done to physical buildings. I mean, you know, I get it. Rioters, and looters and all of that. Y'all don't want none of that. But they went in and they destroyed my house. The house that I paid for. Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't know that we paid for that? That was your tax dollars. They came in your house and tore up your house uninvited. I'm sorry, I take that back. They actually were invited because the Capitol Police just kind of let them in. Now, I can't go all Joe Scarborough on them because, you know, he can cuss and scream and holler like that. I'm a sister. I'll get labeled an angry black woman, which I am, and I'm holding that title and I'm claiming it. So we gonna make those people pay. But remember, there are over 74 million people that stood with that fool. Remember, I used to always say, it's not the one dude. It's all those fools that are complicit in the nonsense. And that's why it wasn't like you didn't know it was going to happen. They told you it was going to happen. They told you, we rallying on the 6th. They told you. Y'all, they weren't prepared because they didn't want to be prepared because those people inside the Capitol Police ranks wanted that to happen. And anybody that doesn't think that's true, they fooling themselves. And please stop telling me, please stop saying to me, this is not America. Yeah, it is. The Revolutionary War, War of 1812, the Mexican-American War, the Spanish-American War, the Civil War. This is what we do. We fight. We violent. The Trail of Tears. That's what we do. The internment camps. That's what we do. Now we've locked children up in cages and separated them with from their families, and we can't reunite them. So quit telling me this ain't America. I got a long laundry list of things, but here's the deal. This is my home. It's my crib. It's where I live. I won't go nowhere else because there's a whole nother set of problems over there. This is my house. These are my problems, and I'm going to fight for them. I'm going to fight for people, and I'm going to keep trying to do what's right for Americans. Even if they never taken a civics class and don't know the 3 branches of government. I'm still going to fight. All right, that's my rant on that for now. Because, I'm still talking about that for weeks to come. The 2021 session is underway. Now, look here, Democrats. We know we lost quite a few seats, and we had a super minority now. But that does not mean that we cannot pay attention to the bills that are being introduced in this session. Go to IGA.gov so that you can keep track of all the bills. But there's a couple I want to talk to you about tonight real quickly. SB 168. I don't know if you guys saw my post about it, but SB 168 is going to create a 5-member board to oversee IMPD. Now, it's bad enough they've taken away our ability to vote for our judges. It's bad enough that they eliminated our 4 at-large county council seats, our city county council seats. Now they want to come and take over our local police department. See, they can't actually win seats in Indianapolis. This is a Democratic county. Democrats win. In fact, the mayor won, and he'd be happy to tell you, by over 70%. We have a supermajority of Democrats in the city county council. They can't win here, not significantly, right? So if they can't win in the local level, they're going to tell you 70% of the voters that voted for this particular administration, we don't care what you want. We're going to create legislation to rule over all y'all anyway. Basically what they're saying, excuse me, black and brown people, because that's where most of y'all are, we really don't like how you're doing this. How about the fact that Senator Sandlin, one of the people who authored this bill, hasn't even talked to the chief of police about the bill. So I ain't talked to the mayor. You ain't even talked to the brother about a bill to take over IMPD. You haven't talked to anybody on the command staff. Well, we know who's behind this, though, FOP. We know who's behind this. We know what's up. No, we don't like that you want to beat us up in the streets and we want to have a civilian police board to oversight that. Nah, this is a local level thing, not at the state level. You got a police department. It's called the Indiana State Police. That's who you monitor. That's who you look out for. The rest of us, the 70% in Marion County, chose our local government. Get the hell out. Especially from people who don't even live here writing bills. So SB 161, Senator Sandlin and Senator Baldwin are the authors of this bill. Keep an eye on that. Make sure they keep their behinds out of Marion County. Another bill I want y'all to pay attention to, and this is a good bill. Yeah, I know I sound really partisan, but I am. So this bill is introduced by Senator Ford and has support in the House by Representative Arrington. It is SB 32. SB 32 is going to prohibit conversion therapy. Now, I'm not sure if all of you all are familiar with conversion therapy, but some people in the world believe that you can hypnotize the gay away, or you can pray the gay away, or you can convert the gay away. But what happens is these conversion therapy places cause irreparable harm to young people. We already know our LGBTQ plus youth have the highest suicide rates of all of our teens. Why can't we just love and accept people for who they are and quit trying to change them? Quit trying to convert them to something that they are not. So we need to get behind this bill, SB 32. We need to get behind this bill introduced by Senator Ford with support in the House from Representative Arrington to ban conversion therapy in the state of Indiana. And Indiana Stonewall Democrats will be hosting a town hall about this issue on January 12th. So that's just next week. So make sure you tune into the Stonewall page, because this is about us making sure that we take care of our community. That's what we're here for. Indiana Stonewall Democrats are here to look out for the LGBTQ plus community from a political point of view. All right. So one last thing before I get to my guests. I want to be clear. I want everyone to know I'm not the only one out here in the state of Indiana that's doing the work that I'm doing when it comes to broadcasting this information. And I'm not like, my ego is good. I'm good. My ego is just fine. So I need to make sure I share the love. First of all, my guy Miguel Hampton down in Jeffersonville, he has a show, a Facebook Live show he calls Common Conversation. Hit him up. My guy up in Fort Wayne, Mark Gabbard, he has My Labor Radio. Hit him up. And then, of course, if you're not signed up, you need to get signed up for the Snyder Report by Gary Snyder, who is also out of Fort Wayne. There are a lot of Democratic voices around our state doing the same work I'm doing. I'm not the only one. So if it's Tuesday and you want to hear something about what's going on the left side of things, tune into one of those other teams, and they're bringing you that same information, because the only way we are really going to get some things done around here is that we connect with the people. And this is just one way to do it. Y'all say y'all want some Stacey Abrams. There's a whole bunch of us running around here. You just got to pay attention and let us. And I'm going to share all the people that are doing this work. And if I find out about more people who are doing social media broadcasts to bring you information, I am going to share that information with you. All right, guys, I know that we often hear about immigration issues and what's going on down at the border and things of that nature. But the immigration story is not just a Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California story. Immigration issues and immigration laws impact Hoosiers too. I had the chance to meet these amazing gentlemen 5 years ago? Some years ago, when Henry Fernandez, who is currently the treasurer of our state Democratic Party, hosted a fundraiser for me. And these gentlemen came in, and Harlan ain't shy. He will talk to you, and I got to know him. I ended up going to Enrique's birthday party that year as well. And they're just amazing men. They are married, and they are so loving and caring for each other. But I want you to hear about some of the struggles they have been going through just to stay here. Y'all, welcome to Turn Left. My good friends, Enrique Gonzalez and Harlan Wilson, as they tell their immigration story. Welcome to Turn Left, fellas.
Hey, good evening. So awesome to be here. Really honored to be on the show.
All right,
Really honored.
now, Enrique, I know you the quiet one, but I want you guys to tell us what's going on with your immigration process. And we have an hour, so take your time and share your story.
So you want to start from the beginning, because I think that's what's most confusing for people. If you listen to what the president, the hopefully outgoing, very rapidly president said
Today.
Really, I mean, after yesterday, these are people from shithole countries that are rapists and all these criminals and thugs. That's the way he's referred to immigrants in general. And it couldn't be further from the truth. I think what I would challenge people before we share our story, and hopefully by the end we'll provide the information where people get to take a look at the reality that you'd want to ask the question of yourself: where is the injustice that has occurred? Because I think you're going to be very surprised that the injustice has occurred and keeps occurring on the side of the United States government and immigration. And that's the story that we have to tell. Okay. So you want to share kind of where you came from and how?
Yeah, absolutely, Enrique.
Okay. So I'm more like when you ask.
So tell us how you came here to the United States of America.
So I came here in 2005, November of 2005, through the border in Mexico. I was through Uvalde, Texas, I think is the city, the town,
okay.
Next to the Piedras Negras in Mexico. That's where I came through. And I was actually detained when I crossed the border there because, when I was 19, I had just turned 19. So I didn't know much. And when I left El Salvador, I left because they tell you you're gonna find a better life there. You're gonna do better, whatever. So the people that actually bring you, they give you these, I'm gonna say lies, because they tell you things that are not true, and then you find out until you get here. So they told me all this. This is how the process is gonna be. This is how that's gonna be, and you have to pay this much. So after you do all that, they basically dumped me at the border, and that's how I got there. So from there, I didn't have any like, what do I do now? And me being me, I thought I was doing the right thing by reaching out to a ICE officer when I saw him.
Okay.
Uh, so I was taken in for 2 days, and I believe it was like on the 28th of November, and there were more people with me. So we were taken in for 2 days, but after the 2 days, they moved us like 2 hours away from there. I can't remember where the name of the other town because we didn't really see it. Um, so we were taken for 2 hours, I believe, for like 2 hours away, 1 hour. I don't remember. We were in a van, so we couldn't see anything, and that's where we were booked in. So if you look in the documents that we have now for the record, those 2 days that we were arrested previously being moved there are not counted. So they didn't put that on the under the documents or whatever.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so he's in the United States and he's locked up for 2 days, in detention, but not on record. He's turned himself in at the border
Right.
because he thought it was the right thing to do.
Be-
And even more compelling, this is where it just gets ridiculous. He leaves El Salvador because why did you leave? I mean, tell some of the things that you've seen there. I mean, this is not one of those, oh, I just have the American dream stories. This is someone fleeing for his life at 19.
Well, when I was a kid, actually, when I grew up. When I grew up, I remember playing with my friends, and everything was kind of safer.
Mm-hmm.
But everything started changing like after like 2000, and the big change came after the president that was at the time there was what we're gonna call, it was on the right side party. Uh, he was is Bush was in power at the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They made this weird deal where they changed the money from the country into dollars. So we used to have what is used to be colones, and I actually have some of those if you ever want to see them. It was called colones, but then they Bush and the president they made this weird deal, and they changed the money into dollars, saying it was going to be better, but that actually screwed up everything
Of course.
because now people are getting paid, with the dollar, but the amount didn't change. So if you were getting, let's say, 100 colones every whatever, I can't remember what
Right.
was at the time.
Right.
Let's say 3 days, every 3 days, you would get 100 colones, which it would be converted into like $11.45, I think it was.
Okay. So
So,
the
but
conversion rate wasn't.
yeah, the conversion was different. But with 100 colones, you could go and buy 2 colones of this, 2 colones of that. So let's say you go and buy 1 pound of chicken. I think it was like 4 colones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when everything changed to the dollar, people rounded to what the
The
price
dollar.
was. So if you convert like 4 colones to what the dollar was at the time, it was like 45 cents, I think.
Mm.
But people instead of rounded it, it became 75 cents.
That's crazy. So there was an economic, you know,
Yes, because
disconnect.
people were spending in dollars, but it's still being paid in colones value.
And
So
so,
if you were getting 300 colones a week,
Mm-hmm.
you would be getting only like $30. So everything changed. You spend more and make less money. So since that time, everything started changing because people, economics started changing and everything, and that's when you started seeing more violence, like more gang members.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When people
Like
are struggling
we,
economically, that's where violence, people aren't just born to be criminals. They do what they got
yeah.
to do to survive.
So you can see more kids joining gangs, and
Mm.
actually at that time, let me see, around that time is I had a brother that was close to my age. We're like 1 year different, and we were always together.
Mhm.
But around that time, he kind of started getting separated. We took parts, and he actually ended up joining a gang, one of the gangs.
Mm.
Uh, the problem, the bigger problem with that was that because we were so close in age and we were always together, people used to confuse us. So when he used to do things, people would think it was me.
Oh.
And that went either for normal people that probably he would do something somewhere and they would think it was me, or for the opposite gang that would think it was me, the one that had joined the gang.
Right,
I
right.
used to get confused by him like many times. I used to be stopped by the opposite gang, like thinking it was me, but luckily for me, they realized it was not me. Whatever. So they would let me go. But there were many times where they actually had pulled knives at me or tried to beat me up or steal whatever money I had with me or whatever.
Mm.
So those kinds of things kind of took me to make a decision of living, and then I started seeing more violence everywhere. Like I used to go with my brothers probably to visit family in the other town. Now you can even cross the town because if the town has the opposite gang, you cannot cross it, you can get
Mm.
killed. That you
Mm.
live in this town, even if you're not associated with one of the gangs, but just because you live in the area with the opposite gang, you cannot go to the other town.
So it was like, it was, like Crips and Bloods.
Yeah,
Latin
but I
America,
actually used to, I remember when I was like 9, 10, I was with my older brother. My mom used to sell tortillas for a living
Mhm.
when I was a kid. So we used to deliver the tortillas for the older people.
Okay.
In this case, we were taking some tortillas to an uncle, and when we were crossing the town, like we just crossed the town, and there was it was an old building. I don't know what it really was because it was never in use when I lived there. But right behind the building, we found where they had just fought. The two gangs had just fought, and they threw a grenade to the opposite guys. And the
A
two,
grenade.
yes, and the two guys were laying there with all their guts out and everything. Like, and those are things that we used to see there all the time.
So
And you
you
can,
you feared for your life. It was
yeah,
dangerous.
every day. And he was in his teens,
Right.
and he had no forward-looking vision for what could be, or
So
uh,
anything looked better than what you were doing. So I mean, so did you? So they, when you say they brought you, did they? Was it like a caravan? Was it like?
It's not like a caravan. They bring you like in groups, but they don't make it look like a caravan. They actually tell you what you have to do to blend through the people so they don't know that you're coming here.
Okay,
And one of
okay,
the reasons why they do that is because, like, crossing through Mexico, there's a lot of corruption there
yeah,
with police and the mafias, or what do you call it, the drug dealers and whatever,
cartels.
the cartels and whatever. So they tell you what you have to do to blend through the people so they don't know you're coming from uh, crossing. Because if you do that, then they will target you.
mm,
Like they steal your money, they will take whatever you have away. Woman can get raped or kidnapped to be prostitute or something. So all those kinds of things happen, and actually some of the things I saw, like they use hotels like to blend the people through.
oh,
Like it would be like a really luxury hotel, but the back of the hotel would have like really poor quality rooms where they keep the people, like 20 people in one room, but the front of the hotel is where the guests are. So how they have connections with, like with
right.
taxis. with the bus drivers and everything. So that's how they move people.
Okay.
And eventually, well, more in El Salvador, but part of the issue that had emerged that was also, which is still a concern today, if we were to be deported, and I went with him, or he were to go back, there's research that shows that there's a very large majority of deportees that face significant danger. And that's on a normal day of deportation. But one thing that Enrique didn't mention is that growing up and even into the first several years of living in the United States, he was not gay, wasn't even aware that he was gay.
Okay.
And so,
Okay,
so
that's a
that,
good thing, because I mean, isn't
yeah,
it like even kind of worse when like they know that you out
yeah,
and you know?
yeah. So there's no protections for it now,
Yeah, yeah.
even today. Yeah.
Okay, so you're here, Enrique, and you've been detained for 2 days. What was the process that got you from detention to being able to walk around the population?
So when we were arrested, I told you they had us for like 2 days there, and then they moved us to the other town. I can remember what the name of the town is. Um, After that, they booked us. Like they took fingerprints, information and whatever. They asked where you're coming from. They checked your fingerprints. They didn't get naked, but they checked and see if I had tattoos for gangs associated. So that's the one thing they do. They asked me if I knew where I was going, and I told them Indiana because they have family there, and asked, "Do you have an address?" And I said, "Yes, I have one. It's in the jacket that you took away because they took away everything. We were just the pants and t-shirt." So he took away everything. And I told him, "Yeah, I have an address and a phone number. It's on the jacket." But they didn't want to go get it. It was just in the locker, like around the room. So when they processed me, they put it as I refused to give them the information.
Well, okay, I'm not surprised. That makes sense. Yeah.
And the documents that they gave us, now that I know more with the lawyer and everything, they were supposed to tell me what the documents said because I didn't speak English.
English, right?
So they didn't say anything. They just tell you to sign and that's it.
And now picture, you're 19, you've left everybody behind. It was how many days travel?
A month.
It was a month travel through Mexico, all the way over. You get here, you get to the border, you turn yourself in, you're overwhelmed, you're afraid, you don't speak the language, right? They don't fill out the papers appropriately. They stick it in your hand and they take you to a Greyhound bus and say, "Okay, go see your family."
Whoa.
And the documents don't have the address of where he was going because they refused to get it. And where it says the date of his to be scheduled hearing, it says to be scheduled. So he doesn't know, even if he could read the language, I have a hearing. Where's this or what's
and what
that?
is a hearing? How about that?
So yeah, after they book us, they do it like when they have a group. I don't know how they do it now, but at the time we were like around 6 or 7, and we were they do it us all at the same time. And then they put us back in the van and took us to a bus station and just dumped us there and gave us a bag with the jacket that I had and everything else that I had there. So they just dumped us at the bus station and say, "Okay, that's it." And so we were like going, "So what do we do now?"
What do you do?
They just gave us those documents, made us sign, took us to the bus station and bye. And I was like, "So what now?" And so all the people that were there, so you get to talk to the people, because you meet people coming in the same situation. And we were like, "So what do we do now?" And we were all like, "I guess we have to figure out how to get where we're going." Luckily, I remember my one of my uncle's number, and I called. How you called that when you called
Collect.
To collect?
He called collect.
I didn't have anything. And I was like, so I figured out how to use the phone that way.
Right.
And I was like, "So how you do that?" And they had instructions. I think they might have been in Spanish. So I did it. And my uncle says, "So I guess you have to get here," because they were like, I don't know.
Right.
So they sent me money through Western Union so I could get it there. But there were like 2 women that they didn't know what to do, like older women. They were like, "We don't know what to do." But they also had the address where they were going. So we figured out how to talk to the guy that was working at the bus station. and figure out how much it was going to be. My uncle told me $300. The other guy had this much, and so we collected enough to buy tickets for the group that we were there.
Nice.
So we all put the money together so we would get tickets for everyone, and
So-
that's how we.
Okay, so basically what you're saying, after they let you out of detention, they take you to a bus station and say, "Good to hell luck with some paperwork." Now you get to Indiana, which I'm sure that was like a harrowing experience because you were on a Greyhound or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
And that was in 2005.
Yeah, to that
Right.
December. I actually got to Indiana on December 3rd of 2005.
Oh, so you went from wait a minute. Let's put this all together because I'm a cold person. I can't stand the cold. You went from Central America to Indiana in December.
Uh-huh.
Actually, the day that I got here, my uncle told me that was the first note when I got here.
Okay, so let's fast forward. You're with your family, so I'm assuming at this point you're trying to get yourself together. So did you apply for a visa, green card? How does that work?
Well, no, because I didn't know anything, and my
Okay.
family didn't know anything. So
which by the way,
I just did whatever, what the normal was, where people like would be in my situation, which they tell you, one of the requirements if you ever can fix your status is to prove that you pay taxes, that you are a good citizen, whatever. So I did what I thought I was doing right. I got a tax ID number. I did taxes since I got here. I don't think I did 2006 because I didn't work for
Sure.
But since 2007 I've been reporting taxes.
which an interesting thing is that to him and his family and other people who don't know, well, the government knows where they are because they're sending them taxes and they're
Right.
getting their return, right? So I'm telling them I'm not hiding. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I mean, what else can I do? I'm waiting. You said that I was going to hear from you. I'm waiting, right? Never heard from you.
Never.
Why didn't you hear from me? Well, because I didn't get your address.
Well, but you're sending me money and I'm filing tax returns. So what do you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so the right hand and the left hand don't know what they're doing. Okay,
Right.
how y'all meet?
Oh,
Oh,
that's funner.
it was online.
Yeah, a map, one of the apps, a dating app.
Okay. And so y'all meet, y'all start dating. Harlan, how were you feeling about the fact that you were dating an immigrant? You probably didn't care.
Well, actually, I'm equal opportunity with the heart. So, I just say, I'm sorry, but I am.
Me too.
And let me tell you, in this case, it was absolutely that first moment. That's the one. Dang. And by the way, I'm 18 years older.
Okay,
So
I know
was
what that's like.
But I was just like, whoa, that's the one.
That's the guy.
He's
Okay.
the one.
Okay, so y'all start dating and y'all
Yep.
eventually move together. And when was the first time in the course of y'all's relationship did you know that you had the immigration eventually was going to be coming for you?
Well, a huge historic event occurred in 2014 that legalized gay marriage, same-sex marriage. Okay.
Legalized
So-
divorce too. Oh, but go ahead.
They got that too, right? But what was amazing was I was actually in the dentist and I was getting a procedure and it just came over me. I was waiting for the dentist to start. They had put in the whatever they put the stuff in to numb me.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at my phone waiting for this stuff to take. And on my phone, I see somebody post on Facebook, they legalize. And I looked at they came in the room to do the treatment and I said, I got to go. I'm going to get married. And they stopped, and they really stopped. So I get up and I leave. And then it was the only thing I could do was I was just moved by my heart. So I just made a video and sent it to him and asked him if he would, get hitched to get married with me. And he said he nearly wrecked his car because I think he might've been driving while he watched it. So
You ain't supposed to do that.
Yeah. But it worked out. And so it's real pivotal because none of this really was a part of our world until that event, because then Enrique realized, okay, I really should tell him that I think I might have some things here. I don't know. I've been trying and I haven't heard from them. So it was difficult for him in terms of disclosure and what this might mean and all that. And I was like, doesn't matter to me. Like I said, you're the one. So, So we just started the process thinking that, you know what, we'll overcome the obstacles if they emerge. We really just never knew.
I think that's pretty
And
awesome, though. I think it's pretty awesome that he was doing. He loved you, and he didn't want you to be in any kind of legal issues or criminal problems or whatever. I'm saying, hey, full disclosure, I want to marry you, but please understand, I may have some issues. The fact that you've been like completely honest with everybody, with the border patrol, the man you married, all the people with the federal government paying your taxes, you've done what there are a lot of. I mean, I ain't seen Donald Trump's taxes. Has he paid? Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong story. Anyway, so
yeah.
when did you guys get married? Were there any immigration issues before you got married? And then when you got married,
Actually,
they amplified, or how did that go?
No,
no.
when we got married and we started filing, the lawyer told us because the same week the state put the state of marriages,
Oh
whatever.
yeah. So the next day we were married on the second day, and then the media and everything all of the politicians were moving for putting a stay on it on marriage.
Right.
But in the process, Enrique had disclosed, so we got married, and then we went to the lawyers and we told the lawyers, hey, let's start the process. We want to get this guy a green card. He's my husband. Hey, and so that's what we were really moving for. Well, then, of course, they do all the paperwork process. So they're early in the paperwork process. And there's this notion that there might be a stay. And we're thinking, well, what if something's wrong with immigration? No, hell no, we need to be married. So they sent us to Chicago and we got married a second time.
Okay.
And the reason for that was because with a letter to the authorities and all that from our lawyers, but was because the standing was always in Chicago that you could be married.
Right.
And so,
right.
it wouldn't hurt it. We could continue what we were doing. So then the normal process would be, file for that marriage interview, which really kind of tests your marriage. And then they do the background check. And there's just a bunch. That was one of the points I was going to make earlier, Dana, that's really horrible that people don't realize. So this 19-year-old comes across the border and turns himself into the country and says, I'm in danger, help me. And like I said, the gay part wasn't an issue at that point, but there's no representation. So how do you know? Okay, so what you do is when you get to where you're going, you go to the office of whatever, and they'll help you, or you could have legal counsel, or you know what I'm saying. So there was never any guidance on that, and that's part of the problem with the immigration system is that there's not anybody there to support them.
But see, everything started when we hired the lawyer, and he filed I can't remember how he called it, but basically it's requesting my file from immigration.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's when we found out that I had a order of deportation that I was never provided, or I was never given, or I don't know how you would put that, because they didn't have my address, because according to them, I refused to give them my address.
Based on paperwork from 10 years earlier,
Yes.
but you've been filing taxes since
Yes.
then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So that's when the lawyer started all the process. But even with that, at the time, it was when Obama was in office. So they had ways to fix that with reopening the case, proving why you didn't go to the court or what happened. Because I still have the documents that they gave me then, where it says that I didn't provide a address, and they didn't give me a court date per se. And that court date that they didn't give me is when they put the order of deportation on.
So let's look at this. He's not been informed. He doesn't know. He does, whatever. So there's this big gap in knowledge in his part. Although he wants to do the right thing and he's doing what he wants to do. He proved that over and over again. And so on this court date that was in his documents to be set, a hearing was processed and a stamp was hit on immigration judge's desk, and he was ordered deportation in absentia because he didn't show up, because they think he doesn't care and he wants to hide. And that's not really what's going on for a lot of these immigrants. They just don't know. There's no guidance. It's just really ridiculous. The whole thing is really ridiculous.
And so there was no way for you to prove that you didn't actually get the letter, because the one that you probably still didn't even have the one that you got from the border,
well,
right?
Actually, there was a way to prove it, because the documents I had, they didn't have the address and I didn't have a court date.
Okay.
So that's what we were appealing at the time.
Okay.
But that's when, so we were like far into the process, like we have gone through the interview, the marriage interview and everything. And we were like, we could have been done like soon, but that's when the Trump came into president, and he changed
Ah.
everything like in day one.
So Enrique mentioned the stay. He had a stay of deportation 2 years renewed in the Obama administration. And why? Because this is also very important. The Obama administration, yes, they did some progressive and arguably not good things in terms of trying to get immigration wrangled around. This, there's all different kinds of opinions on that situation. But what they did was they did still have a very strong humanitarian approach to what they did.
Right.
It was not a nationalist, we're shut down, stay out, and everybody that's in here is going out. It was a humanitarian approach. And so what that did was that allowed for us to file for a stay. And then as we had that first year of stay that it was issued, we started filing for, okay, shit, we found something here, we better fix it. So we started working on what's called an administrative open and administrative close, which would have made that go away. And if we haven't lost you yet in legalese about immigration, I'm surprised, because there's so much, really.
Yeah.
It's just, there's no way. How does anybody navigate this,
You can't.
So
you can't.
So the first year we did the paperwork that we could, filed the motions with the court and did all the stuff we could. And then they issued the zero tolerance policy. So as Trump came in, let me back up. As Trump came in, he immediately, and unfortunately, our stay was ready for the new renewal again. And they simply sent a letter, which somehow they knew where we were then. Well,
right.
of course, get out. I'll tell you that. But,
I know how to find you, tell you to leave.
Yeah. So they send us this letter, and in the letter, it doesn't give us any option, but it says they want a travel itinerary within the next 6 months, you to leave the country. So they denied the stay abruptly, and they really pretty much denied the due process. And the reason is because by the law, there's a deportation order, so he's got to leave.
Oh, okay. So how many court dates have y'all had?
Many. Yeah, we went to court once. But it's been a real fiasco because the courts have been extended because all the stuff that Trump did, and so there's been delay after delay. There was a government shutdown. We faced corruption that's unbelievable. That one case we filed for a change of venue in Texas to move the case to Chicago, and this is no made up story. It is on record. The judges have recognized this. The Texas judge denied the change of venue unless Enrique our lawyer would admit to guilt on Enrique's behalf.
What?
And if you admit to guilt, it's called, what do they call that in, admit to the allegations. He admitted to the allegations, our lawyer did, on our behalf, because he believed that it was the more important thing to do to get it to the Chicago court where it would be forgiven, because once anybody looks at Enrique's case, they're going to say, oh, come on, he tried to do everything he could. So he thought it would be forgiven. It was not. The judge heard our case, and she simply said, I want to hear the whole case here. I want to understand all these maneuvers that you've done with all these documents. That case has never been heard again. She invited us back to either continue, I believe it was, with what our original call was for, or for asylum.
Yeah. So, and we were supposed to. So that judge actually gave us her last hearing. She was retiring, so we were going.
Oh, wasn't she kind?
Well, but actually, we think she might have been. We really actually think she was more concerned about hearing the full case because she saw all the shenanigans. And why I said that this is on record is because that judge also said on record, I am aware that there are some unethical and unlawful, I think she referred to them, things coming out of the courts these days.
Okay.
And so it's in the transcript. I mean, she just called it out and said, yes, we've been seeing this,
and so she gave us the last hearing that she had, and she told us that was her last hearing. And that was supposed to be April 15, and they did the
shutdown,
shutdown
on the 11th
because of COVID.
Which actually is probably a good thing because y'all still here with me, and okay. So you have these immigration issues, and somebody might hear this and go, well, he came across illegal. We understand now that you are doing everything you can to get it right, but more importantly, let's talk about why it's so important that people like Enrique stay in our communities, especially here in Indianapolis. Talk about some of the work that you guys are doing that I personally am quite familiar with, and why it's important that we sort these immigration concerns out.
Are you specific to community development or immigration?
Well, your business. I mean, talk about who you are as citizens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a beneficiary.
Yes, you are. So Enrique always wanted to be, he worked for other investors doing home remodeling, and he wanted to always have his own business doing home remodeling. Sadly, in 2015, my father passed. We were living on the north side. I had been the family caregiver. I had an executive career in healthcare, and I just decided, let's dial this down. I don't want to do anything anymore. I just want to chill out, maybe a little early retirement is what I was really thinking. I don't know what I was thinking, really. But Enrique, in my opinion, and guys, this is what was always how I operated. If anybody deserved the American dream, it was my husband.
Okay. You're not biased or anything.
Hey, look. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just see what hits his dream. I've already had companies before, so
right.
let's you know.
Okay.
So we started a home remodeling company, and it's just done very well. Home redevelopment solutions, it's done very, very well. I became a realtor and started home real estate solutions, and that's gone very well. We've done that. I've been doing that for 4 years, and then Enrique is just about to wrap up. Believe it or not, this is what's interesting. I was a realtor. I went to training to become a realtor while he was getting everything geared up to start the construction company.
Okay.
And then I got that license, and then we got the general contractor's license, both of us from the city of the state. And then we, during the first shutdown, when we realized we weren't going to be doing the court stuff and all of that, so we had a little breathing room because we really didn't know if we were staying. That's the one thing we've suffered so much. You can't like move on with your life,
right? Because you don't know if you're going to. Right.
You're on the page between the chapters. You can't do anything. So I just decided to take training to become a management broker. So then during the lockdown, took training, became a management broker, started to practice. Now, Enrique, during this very sad time that we're having right now, just to stay safe and stay home on our own, he's just about to finish the training to be an inspector, home inspector.
Oh,
and
good.
So he's going to be a licensed inspector, and we'll be like end to end, everything except for mortgages.
So, and the reason why I wanted to talk about this, because I found myself in a situation where I needed help. I needed help because I'd never really made, a purchase on my own. I'd made 2 home purchases with other people, but never on my own. And like, it's always stressful. And because I needed some quick thinking, and I was like, I know Harlon, I know he's doing it. And even with that, after I had a chance to meet with you guys gave me options and was like, okay, wait, I can do this, I can do this. And that's when I found out about how you guys, and I don't want to call it flipping because y'all doing more than flipping. Y'all are like creating dreams for people. So what y'all don't know is what they ain't saying, they being real modest about is like after my real estate agent and Aaron Shaler was my broker, we got me in my condo. Then Enrique came behind that and helped me put my floors down and install my appliances. And so I didn't have to deal with like a whole bunch of people. I just had this one loving gay couple to come in and out of my house and take care of things for me. And I didn't worry. All I do is write a check. And for people who don't,
we love that part.
Well, and see, this is why it's important, because for people who, need certain services, right? It's nice to have people who are honest and trustworthy and know how to get things done. And that's inspiring for the community. And that's why we need folks like you here, right? That's the important part. Also, Harlon, you've been doing some community work yourself. You've been getting involved in your neighborhood and doing some community association stuff, correct?
Thank you. Yes. So after we realized that we actually, what was really unique about our combination, the 2 of us together, is that I could really do a lot of the business stuff and really do some of the, like what we did with you. Let's find you a home. Let's get you into the home. And then you're like, hey, let's update this to be my home, right? You put your fingerprint on it, right? So that's where Enrique comes in. But what's also really incredible is he has this innate skill and I don't even know if you really knew you had it before you really started doing this, but he has this innate skill of looking at shapes and spaces. So he can really re-engineer like kitchens and bathrooms and all that to fit a lot in a small space or make the workflow that somebody wants in the kitchen and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's just been a really great balance for the 2 of us together to be doing what we do. From that, we then, in my last career when I was actually working in Louisville, we passed back and forth from Louisville to Indy often. And we found our way to Christian Park where we live. And in Christian Park, there's it seemed like a really beautiful small town that just really needed a lot of love. That's really the best way to put it. But we saw it that way, like, wow, look what we could do if we did a whole town kind of thing. What about a neighborhood? What if we could go one house at a time? That's all you got to do, one house at a time, right? So we came here and we've done several, and we've done more than we can count bathrooms and kitchens for people in the East Side. which is where we're really focused. And so then that led to me saying, hey, you know what, we got to let these people have a bigger dream. So I went out and started, a lot of neighbors brought it to my attention that they really felt that we needed a neighborhood association. So I started the My Christian Park Neighborhood Association, and then it all really took off. But I want to say there's an interesting bridge between the dark and the light here, because the work that we do and the donations that we do oftentimes like to really help people that are in need, like he was referring to, helping those lady when he first got here, right? Young kid trying to make sure they had the money, right? We had that spirit in us. So we still try to just do what we can and be as generous as we can. And we are not at any means of the situation wealthy at all. We're very middle class, very.
Right. But I think
we like to care.
Right. And see, that's what's important. That's why I wanted to share that part of the story, because it ties into your immigration story. And that is, you guys are still not free and clear. I've read a lot of your posts, and there is a fear that you might have to uproot yourselves. Now, I'm sorry, from everything that I hear on the other side of the aisle, you pose to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, I'm sorry. It sounds like Enrique has actually done everything that this American dream is supposed to be about. And there is a fear that now that you guys have created a life together and you're actually impacting positively the community that you live in, there's a fear that you might leave. Talk about what that means.
Yeah, well, actually an interesting read that I now have on that I didn't used to have. And Enrique can help me, fill in some of the color on this that I don't remember, but so it came eerily close to thinking that we truly were going to have to we were either going to leave or be deported. So last year, this time, I went to El Salvador twice. While there, I did have an event that occurred that scared me pretty significantly. While there, I did realize that I could potentially be a target for extortion because I look like a white, wealthy American. That's just the way it is, right? While there, I tried to find places for us in towns or places or whatever where we could have some sort of a standard living. But then all the time I was also aware that they are still not protecting LGBTQ rights. They're moving more in that direction, but very slowly. The culture's moving very slowly. So honestly, while there, not only the scary things that I saw and a couple things there was one particular night that had all of us really thinking we were going to die. But in addition to that, the notion of living someplace where you'll live in fear all the time is where we live in Indianapolis, not what I saw in El Salvador.
Right.
And the reason now that we feel this way is because of the hate and things that have all emerged out of the Trump administration, which has led to people feeling more free and liberated to express their views. And they're not listening to this full story of what really has happened here, which is the United States is misleading immigrants that come across the border and creating this situation. No one should live in this country for 15 years paying taxes and getting nothing in return, while the government actually makes them out to be criminals, rapists, thugs, and thieves or whatever. All the bad things because they want to divide and conquer us with fear. And then we're sitting over here unable to do anything with our lives other than, which we've done. We've actually conquered it because we've gone out and said, we're starting the businesses, we're taking the training, we're doing what we want to do. We're not going to let them stop us. We're going to work in the community. But then we had to stop that last year. And I'll share a little change in me that is weird. Because of fear, I am now almost finished with a lifetime open carry permit, which is something that I never would have done. The people who know me closely know that I would never have done that. The reason that I'm doing that is because I feel I have to protect my family. And yesterday proved that.
Yeah. Real talk.
It just proved it.
So a lot of people are going to ask, you guys got married. That should, prevent him from having to be deported. Because, Melania been living in New York and the White House, and and her mom and daddy got to come over and everything. Why is it that your marriage to you and Enrique, it doesn't just say, okay, Enrique can stay?
It does. And it's approved by immigration.
It is approved.
So why are you...
Because there's two separate offices and one don't talk to the other one.
So in wait. So in one office, you good. In another office, you got to go. Are you serious?
Yes.
Where the deportation order is, as long as the deportation order that was issued because he didn't show up in the court that they didn't tell him to show up to, as long as that is there, we cannot finish the green card, which is only requiring that Enrique leave the country to be interviewed in his home country and return. That's all. But if he leaves to go do the interview in his home country and do his physical health test and all the things that they require, he could not come back for 10 years because he would self-deport because that deportation is still hanging out.
Right. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
And see, and the funny thing is that both offices are in the same building, but they don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
Okay, so see, as a Democrat, I know that the federal government has problems. That's just terrible. And so, so you guys are still in the process of trying to get this fixed. Obviously, COVID is kind of held things up. I bet you guys gonna go, okay, a little while longer, but what's the next step? No, it's not.
No. Yeah, and I know where you're going. Look, here's the thing. So the greatest thing, so this is the most popular, there's a couple things I should say. The most popular response people say when they find out about our story is, illegal is illegal. Why doesn't he go back and come back the right way? That's what they say. On the issue of marriage, you guys should be able to stay together or whatever, but why do you have to call it marriage, right?
I don't even worry about them.
Yeah, well, but it's interesting because we are gay, same-sex married, mixed household, they've now determined, which kept us from receiving stimulus. When everybody else in America got stimulus, I, as a U.S. citizen who would have qualified, did not receive stimulus because he used to pay taxes with the tax ID, and I pay taxes with the Social Security. So when that happened in the Trump administration, they found the houses that use that have mixed status by tax ID and Social Security under one roof, and excluded only those houses knowing that they were immigrant houses. Yeah.
Wow. Well, you know what? That ain't just the Trump administration. That was Congress. And so I saw that.
I saw that. That was so disappointing.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to holler at my girl Nancy and see what's up with that. You know, that's not cool.
And they wanted to put it there. It was the Senate, McConnell.
McMitch. Mm-hmm. Well, he's minority leader now. Yes, minority leader.
Now they didn't want to vote for the $2,000 that they wanted to give to people.
Right. But we are included supposedly in this stimulus.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's a good thing.
But when this is so bizarre, like, okay, picture yourself in my lane now. You know, here I am, U.S. citizen. I've been an entrepreneur. I've had businesses. I've created jobs for people. I've contributed to my community. I've done all these things, trying to do just like Enrique my whole life. I just always wanted to just show up the right way. That's what I've been trying to do. Right. Show up and be right. And now we're caught on this page in between of our lives. We can't turn the page. We can't, but we're still showing up and we're still doing all this stuff. And then Enrique, at the same time that we did not receive the stimulus, gets COVID, is terrified, can't breathe. It's the first time in our life together. We've been together 8 years. It's the first time in our life together I've seen him so afraid. He was so sick he couldn't breathe. And we got the notice that we were not getting stimulus. And I'm a U.S. citizen. So not only have I always been mad because he's paid for 15 years, but I am 52 years old contributing to this country. You better damn well give me the same treatment everybody else gets.
Well, I bet if you had on one of them red mega hats, you'd have got what you know. You'd have got something. Man, this is crazy. So what is the future? What does it look like? What's the next step? What do we got to do now?
Yeah, so what can we all do?
Right.
Biden's new plan is so exciting because it's thorough. There's a lot in it. It could really reform immigration if they even get part of it done. I'm so excited about the Senate outcome in Georgia because it tells us that we're going to be able to do a little bit more. It's going to be hard. It's going to be sticky. There's a lot to be done.
Yeah.
But we're going to be able to get it done, right? Now, the problem is that we still have the deportation order out there we have to remedy, which is waiting for an asylum hearing. That's what we're waiting for now. And so we need that case to be rescheduled, but it was canceled during the COVID. And they're saying that there's a backlog of 2 years plus or more. So I was going to speak to the earlier point. You say, well, good, because you have a little more time. But that's not what it's like when you live in here on the pages between the chapter and wrapping it all back around, going through 3 presidents, because we had Obama, who was helpful and gave us the stay and had administration policies that were helpful. He was a humanitarian. We had Trump, who is a nationalist, who has literally decimated all of that, including as he's going out the door, decimating asylum. And while that is occurring, he tells us you got 6 months to put in your travel itinerary to get out of the country. And if you don't, we're coming after you. And the only thing that's protecting us is because since then, Enrique has been able to get a work authorization and a driver's license and a social security. And so we're making progress, chipping away at it. But as long as that deportation order just hangs out there somewhere in that other department, we're stuck. And the laws right now are not in our favor because of what Trump did.
Wow. And that sucks that it's one thing.
Yeah, and so an interesting discovery that is not included in Biden's plan, which I actually think is one of the biggest things that has to be addressed, is the courts report up to the Department of Justice, the Attorney General, and the President, unlike most other courts. Now, think about this for a minute. Immigration court reports to the President, which just was that horrible experience. Very inhumane, separating children from their, I mean, death has been caused because of what this president has done, right? And then, isn't it true that if the state is saying that Enrique shouldn't be here, so they've told him, the United States, he's got to leave, and Trump is, as president, he's the president, and then the attorney general is the prosecutor and the boss of the judges that are going to prosecute the case. And so, because the courts fall under the attorney general and was William Barr, and when it was Sessions, it was horrendous. Under Sessions, he put into place volume metrics of 700 cases per year, I think it was, that judges had to adjudicate. And on their desktops, they installed little tickers that show, like a gas, this is how many cases you're getting towards, because they literally stopped everybody from being able to, or stopped all the judges from being able to have judicial discretion and to be able to hear the cases for their merits and give the immigrants the due process, which is the one right that they have is due process. They did not allow them to be, independently heard, because essentially the judge was presiding over the case that the administration have said, these people got to go. And so there's so much conflict of interest. There's so much, today, Biden really just shocked me. This is like one of those synchronistic things. When he got up today and he reported on who his cabinet is, Merrick Garland, for Department of Justice, he said these words. He said, we have to bring honesty, integrity, and independence back to the judiciary. He said, the judiciary should not be loyal to me. It's loyal to the law. Under the situation I just told you in immigration, that means that it's loyal to the president. Under Trump, they showed us that under that executive delineation, not over in a different type of court like the rest of the courts, it falls under the president. And in this case, it turned out really bad for a lot of people.
Right.
Many people.
Not for Melania.
Yeah,
not for Melania.
Yeah.
Oh, her mom and daddy.
What many people have been calling for, and I'm talking like top of the line for years, American Bar Association, Federal Bar Association, American Immigration Judges Association, all these different top, very astute, far more intelligent folk than me. And these folks are also pushing for what's called the creation of an independent Article I immigration court. And so that's what we need to fight for, is for us to be advocating for an independent Article I immigration court. And so I think you said on our page, you put deportinglove.com. There's going to be some additional information that I alluded to on your Facebook page that I was going to make a little announcement. So here's the announcement. We're actually pushing for, we're literally, as a U.S. citizen, I'm making a call for the creation of an independent immigration court. It's called an Article I court, as opposed to where it is now under the executive branch, because it needs to be independent and not controlled by the executives, period, from here forward, because it's just not fair. They're not getting a fair trial. The problem is, so what I did was I wrote a op-ed, and I was hoping to, by today, I was really crossing my fingers, that by today that op-ed would actually have been picked up by New York Times. I had a lot of help from a lot of great people, Henry Fernandez, a lot of really fantastic friends and family. They helped me to really sculpt this message. I want to take this message to the public through a national media channel. So if anybody knows any contacts in the national media, we have to get this published in the national media. And then create a groundswell of U.S. citizens, spouses and family members of immigrants. We have to come forward, any U.S. citizen, we have to come forward and we have to really understand this. And if we agree with the creation of this independent court, we need to be signing the petitions. We need to get active. And you mentioned our Congress. We need to talk to our congressional. They need to be proposing a bill. And in fact, a sample bill has already been written. But so there's a template for it, and don't let them tell you that it's too hard to do, because from what I've learned, it can be done. And it would be just like, for example, the bankruptcy court and tax court. It's been done before. Okay.
Absolutely.
So we need to advocate for that, or no justice is ever served. Now, I'm going to shut up in 2 seconds, but I just want to go back to the beginning. And I know, hey, everybody that knows me knows I got a lot to say. But here's the thing. I feel the duty as the U.S. citizen spouse of Enrique, who's been through what he's been through. He came here seeking refuge, which is what we used to be about. And I feel the duty to take care of this situation, not just as much as I can to be a voice for that, for Enrique, but also for all the people who can't because they're afraid. Or all the people who don't, they just
Exactly. I get it. That's why I'm out here as the cross-dressing lesbian talking smack as much as I can, because I got to fight for people that can't really do it for themselves.
Yeah.
They always say that the reason why they do with immigration sometimes is because of security reasons.
Nah.
But if it was because of security reasons, they really would look really into what security really means.
Oh, see.
Because, there's a lot of people here illegally. There's a lot of people that they know they're here because these people do taxes or whatever. But in reality, you don't have any information on these people, like fingerprints, pictures, or anything. So let's say, I'm not saying there's going to be someone that is going to be doing bad things. But they can do whatever they can do, but you're not going to find fingerprints or picture of this person in any files anywhere because they're not tracked or anything. And I remember Indiana used to give driver license to undocumented people. They didn't care for social security numbers or anything. So when you had people on file, you had their information. So if they do something, you find their fingerprints, you find the pictures. So you had their information. Now you have a lot of people that they do something, you're never going to find them. Because they can just live.
Well, that's what you said. They need to figure out what security is. Gentlemen, you guys have a compelling story. And like I said, a lot of people in Indiana think that, the immigration story doesn't impact us because we're landlocked in the middle of the country. But you have highlighted all that you have tried to do to be a good citizen. You found the love of your life and y'all got married. Y'all started a business, but you continually have to live in fear because the courts and the federal government can't get their ish together. Right hand, left hands don't know what they're doing.
To that point, look at what we've all just gone through. We had a president that really promoted immigration and all its awfulness, really demonizing these people, right? And prior to that, it was a hot button with the Obama administration. And look where we are now. It's a hot button to going into the Biden. My point about that is it's a political, it's a hot topic politically that needs to be depoliticalized, if you will, at the court level, because that's not fair that we've been, you just heard the whole story. We don't even know when we get our day in court. And when we do, the person who's sitting in front, which really, now let me give you this surreal insider. I'm sitting in the court silent because I'm not allowed to say anything. And Enrique's up there testifying with the attorneys. And I'm looking at that judge and I know that she could order something that will take him away from me. My husband can take my husband away from me. I'm a U.S. citizen that has contributed to my community more than most people do. He's contributed, unbelievable. Seriously. And it's just like, how could this even be? I just kept looking at the judge, and the only thing I could do is sort of say a silent prayer and say, oh, do you realize the power you have? And so you just don't have any power in this situation.
Exactly, which is why we got to pay attention to these courts more than we do some of that other stuff. You see, Mitch McConnell was appointing all kind of federal judges. Fellas, I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with our listeners on Turn Left. You guys follow Harlon and Enrique. I've both tagged them. I've tagged them both in the show so that you can just click on them and if they friend you or in the link to their website is there because immigration impacts us all. I don't know what I'll do if Harlon and Enrique have to leave. I got too much work to do in my house. But anyway, I got too much work. Y'all, thank you so much for joining. Indiana's own Dana Black, Turn Left. Okay, next week, man, I'm bringing heavy hitters. Heavy hitters. Next week on Turn Left, I got the incomparable Robin Winston, Yup, I said that. So y'all make sure y'all tune in because we're going to talk about the direction of our party. We got reorg going on. I want to hear his ideas. I want him to share his ideas with you all. This guy's a mastermind. You guys are going to appreciate that conversation. I'm going to be taking notes because that's what you do when you become a student and the professor is in the room. So y'all make sure y'all stay safe this week. Pay attention to what's going on in our General Assembly. Make sure you're following those bills, finding out when the hearings are, because there might be something impacting your community that you don't like, or there might be something that you do like that you want to advocate for. So pay attention and make sure that you know what's happening. And if nothing else, what did Georgia teach us? Georgia taught us that you don't have to be an elected official. You don't have to be a senior party leader or a state party chair. All you have to do is care about your community enough to go and talk to them and register them to vote and convince them and meet them where they are about why it's important to cast their vote. Georgia and all the amazing groups, which Harlan and I just conveniently mentioned that most of those groups were being managed and ran by African American women. I almost didn't notice. Hey, y'all. Indiana's on Dana Black. I will catch y'all next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. 2021, we bringing the funk and we bringing the noise, baby. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.